Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and as you can see, I got a little bit more of a different thing kind of going on, trying to up the production levels of the videos, even just a little, marginally better, I guess. And I'm not gonna lie, I really hate the production and editing aspects of videos. I just want to talk about books and whatnot. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started with the video, and it's going to be my August book haul. I gotta do my August and September ones, and I think I might have got a couple of them mixed up because I've been throwing all my newish, new to me books in a pile. But let's just go ahead and get started. And there's a big theme for the month of August, because I got 4 books here by Carl Safina. The first one here is his first book, Song for the Blue Ocean, Encounters Along the World's Coasts and Beneath the Seas. And he's written about, I want to say 7 or 8 books now, and I recently just read, I think over summer, Voyage of the Sea Turtle here, In Pursuit of the Earth's Last Dinosaur. Really loved it, and I have no idea why I hadn't read Carl Safina yet. And he has a book called Becoming Wild that came out, I believe, in either, I want to say the beginning of 2021 or the end of 2020, and it's been regarded really, really well. Anyways, he's an oceanologist, and I think he's been named one of the top 100 conservationists of the past decade or something like that. But anyways, Song for the Blue Ocean, his first work, it's kind of all about the connection between the ocean and humanity, and it's sort of like an adventure narrative of his sort of exploration of different parts of the oceans and things like that. And obviously he must weave a lot of science and biology and ecology into it, and why we need the ocean, and kind of just a real deep look at what we're doing into it and why we need it and why we need to protect it, stuff like that. Can't really go wrong with stuff like that, I feel. All right, so now we got another one of his books. I think I got 4. I want to say 4 in this month. We got The View from Lazy Point, A Natural Year in an Unnatural World. And I think Lazy Point is a place near where he lives on Long Island, I believe. And for what I understand from this book, part of it is sort of like going through the different seasons on the East Coast, like the East Coast of the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, I guess the East Coast of the United States, alongside the Atlantic Ocean, I should say. And then he kind of goes in each direction of the compass, from what I understand, and north, west, south, and east, or whatever, and how everything is kind of interconnected with globalization, and what affects other regions will affect places around Lazy Point, things like that. I thought it was kind of a cool idea to combine sort of the macro and the micro into one book. And next up is the one I'm probably most excited about, and it is The Eye of the Albatross, Visions of Hope and Survival. And I think this one won the John Burroughs Medal, which, if you don't know what that is, it's like a nonfiction award that goes to a really good author in natural history for the year, something like that. But since I read Noah Strecker's The Thing with Feathers, he has a chapter on albatrosses. In that work, I've really been interested in albatross. They're just super cool. They're giant birds. Some of them have 6-7 foot wingspans, and then they fly literally thousands of miles on the ocean, thermal air currents and things like that, just kind of gliding along, looking for food and stuff. And they'll always find their way back to their islands. And albatross are one of the only birds that actually remain monogamous. I think they were actually one of the only bird species that were up in the 90%, I guess, of actually staying monogamous, which a lot of birds that people think are really not. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I hope this is kind of dealing with just a lot of I think there's 7 or 8 different species of albatross, kind of just going on their natural history and what we can learn about them, what we can learn from them, stuff like that. So sounds really cool if you like birds and stuff like I do. And then I have one more of his works. Don't ask me why I didn't buy his newest one, but we have A Sea in Flames, the Deepwater Horizon Oil Blowout. And as you could probably guess from the title, this is all about the BP oil spill. I think it was either 2009 or 2010. I remember I was in high school when that happened, and it's sort of just an investigative journalist approach. And obviously, as being an oceanologist, he's got a lot of the big science credentials, and he knows what he's talking about and whatnot. So I think that's going to be kind of I think this is going to be a sad read, with all the kind of corruption and kind of misdirection that kind of went on and everything like that. But hoping to learn more about that sad incident. All right, next up, we have a fishing book. Actually, we got John Garrick's No Shortage of Good Days. I read his was it Still Life with Brook Trout over here. I read that over the summer. just kind of like on a whim, because I don't really read a lot of fishing buddy stories or whatever. But he does. I think there is a reason why he's I think the number one in that kind of like subgenre of like I don't even know. I mean, it's nonfiction, but he does a really good job combining sort of philosophy and just kind of like his like life thoughts and things with the actual like fishing like narratives and things. He's just a really good observer of human nature and whatnot, and he just does a really good job combining those things. And he's got like 20 books or something like that, so I just picked up another one just to try it out. They're nice easy listens and just had a lot of fun with the other one, so might as well pick up another one. All right. Next up, there's a very heavy nature theme for this month. I'm not gonna lie, I think all of them are nature except one. There's like one book I got for $1. That was a history book. But anyways, we got Sue Hubbell's Waiting for Aphrodite. I read her Broadsides from the Other Orders, which is a book all about sort of bugs and insects that are kind of like left behind and neglected and not talked about a lot, in the literature and like nonfiction writing and stuff. Like like silverfish, for example. Most people just don't write about them. And black flies, people don't like them, so they don't write about them and like learn about them. So I thought that book was really good, so I picked up another one of her books. Kind of read a little bit of her biography, and she lived in the state I live in Maine, for the like latter part of her life and stuff. And while she was living in Maine, she came up with the idea for this book, which is kind of all about, I guess, the geology and natural history of like the age of the first kind of like sea creatures and stuff, before vertebrates really got going and things. So I thought that was kind of like a cool idea. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna learn from the book, but I really enjoyed her other one, so I'm pretty sure I'll enjoy this one as well. Now, actually, before I get going, thanks so much for sticking so far with the video. And if you want to support the channel, the best way to do that is actually to go take a look at my Etsy shop. I got lots of different signs, like nature signs, philosophy signs, things like that. Like this one. Very little is needed to make a happy life. Is all within yourself and your way of thinking. Marcus Aurelius. He's actually a pretty good seller, so thought I'd share that. Even just like liking items and liking the shop helps really well with the algorithm on Etsy and whatnot. But anyways, back to the books. And I got 2 books here that have been sent from publishers, so I gotta read these ones right off. And we got Thor Hansen's Hurricane Lizards and Plastic Squid, the fraught and fascinating biology of climate change. I am going to be reading this one for Nonfiction November. Definitely check out that readathon if you're into nonfiction. And this book is all about animals that are somehow adapting and thriving in sort of the Anthropocene, like humankind sort of alteration of the earth, over the past like century and stuff, with like climate change, global warming, deforestation, everything like that, habitat loss. There are some animals that are coping fairly decently, and they are like evolving almost like in real time to adapt to the circumstances that we sort of forced them into. Obviously, a lot of animals cannot keep up, just with all the changes that are going on, and that. I thought it'd be kind of nice to read a little bit about, like, some success stories, I guess, a little bit from what I understand. So I think I figured out the Hurricane Lizards part. Definitely check out my, Nonfiction November TBR video, boom, if you want to learn what that might be. I'm not 100% sure about the Plastic Squid, so I'm definitely kind of curious to learn what that's all about. And the other one that I've been sent is Being a Human, Adventures in 40,000 Years of Consciousness by Charles Foster. And he also wrote a book called Being a Beast. I haven't read anything by him, but from what I understand, this book is all about him sort of replicating, living as a Neolithic, or I say a Paleolithic hominin, a Neolithic human, and I guess a person from the Enlightenment. I'm not 100% what's going on, but it sounds like kind of a cool blend of science and anthropology and I guess like memoir, because apparently he did it for about a whole year, something like that. So I don't know if you're willing to spend a whole year living as sort of a Neolithic, even a Neolithic or Paleolithic, Stone Age human, Homo sapien, props to you. So I definitely want to like learn what's kind of going on there, like what he learned from his experience. And then lastly, I got 2 books here that I bought, I think $1 a piece at this like kind of like thrift store type store, bookstore. I don't know what you call it. It's like a charity bookstore, but it's only like by donation and stuff like that. But anyways, I got Edith Hamilton's The Roman Way, and I've already read her Greek mythology and the Greek Way, and this is obviously the companion book to the Greek Way. And these two books, I'm assuming the Roman Way is like the Greek Way. It's kind of all about just sort of the culture and the ethos of, you know, what made Greeks, you know, quote unquote Greek. And I assume this is sort of the same thing from the Roman perspective. And she is a really good writer, so it's definitely like a nice, fun, easy read to learn. Like I said, even if you've already read a lot of, you know, Roman history or Greek history or whatever, I think they are good books, just sort of to like, I don't know, like I said, it's more about like the cultural mindset of the, you know, the Greeks and Romans living at the time. I had a lot of fun reading the Greek Way, so that's why I'm going to be reading the Roman Way at some point. And then lastly, one that I'm really interested in, sold for 50 cents in 1960, was The Forest and the Sea, a look at the economy of nature and the ecology of man by Marston Bates. I've never heard of the author, never heard of the book, but I saw it, the title, I'm like, well, I'm definitely picking that one up. And on the back it says, "What good is a butterfly?" And that was kind of like the opening question. And it's kind of interesting. I think it's like, it's going to be a neat take from like a book, you know, literally written over 60 years ago on sort of, you know, why do living things just have an intrinsic, like, you know, right to survive and thrive and things, which, you know, back then, that was sort of the beginning of the, you know, the environmental movements and stuff in like the late 50s and 60s and things. So I think it's going to be kind of cool to read a book, you know, that was, you know, written during kind of like that burgeoning phase when it was just getting started and whatnot. Obviously that's kind of a more common concept now. I mean, I say common, you know, it's more like kind of just in the ether now, but definitely needs to be, you know, in the forefront of almost every, like a lot more people's minds and things. But like I said, it's going to be kind of cool just to see it written from, you know, 6 decades ago, how that was kind of portrayed and how, like, you know, they wrote to get that message across to other people. So there you have it. Those are all the books that I picked up in the month of August. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you remember what your favorite book was that you picked up in August, let me know down in the comments below. Always glad to, you know, read what everyone else is picking up and reading and what they're having a good time reading and whatnot, stuff like that. Don't forget to check out my Instagram, Twitter, Etsy shop, all that kind of cool stuff. And if you're into like tabletop, Warhammer, D&D stuff, I am starting a tabletop channel. I have no idea like what it's gonna be, but I'll leave a link to that one down below as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and whatever you happen to be reading in this month of October, read victoriously.